Investigators will piece together this crime. Let's bring in Marc Harrold, who's a former police officer and also an attorney. Welcome to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Saddened, to be honest, and I'm wondering how many people like this alleged shooter may be out there right now. What, in your estimation as an investigator, how long do you think he was preparing for this?
Well, I think they're going to be able to figure that out based on the receipts. They have a long history, most likely, of internet searches, but also, like was said, that he had a lot delivered to his house. They're going to be able to trace that back. Some of what he had are not easy items to get. Maybe they're too easy to get. But the bottom line here is they're going to have a long history of being able to see what he had delivered, and by what he had delivered and when he ordered it, they may be able to piece together what was most likely a very long curve on his planning here. So this was a very deliberative thing. It's going to take a while to piece it together, and also they're going to be looking to see if he had any assistance in getting something he shouldn't have been able to get,
right,
or just in learning how to put this. Is not easy what he did, wiring all that up. He may have had help.
And they certainly are taking a look at that. They've questioned someone else, but they're not calling it a suspect. We're looking at the detonation, which was done at a separate location after what I believe is the most painstaking recovery of evidence I have ever seen at his apartment. It took 2 days. It took teams from all over this country. What specifically might have been in that apartment that's going to change anything? Do they not have enough evidence alone from the movie theater?
Well, they certainly have enough evidence, it would seem, with all the witnesses and the physical evidence of what he did in the movie theater. However, the planning of the incendiary devices that were most likely booby traps for law enforcement, he knew he was going to get caught, or he may have thought he would be dead after the fact. Those could be federal charges. So it may not be just the evidence that they collect for what he did at the movie theater. It may expand the amount of charges or the types of charges that he faces based on what was at his apartment and not only what he did in the theater.
Initially, there were reports he was cooperating with authorities. Then he lawyered up, and he wasn't. In terms of developing a possible motive, what are the questions that authorities will ask him, and what investigation will they do to try to determine what everyone wants to know? Why?
Well, now that he does have a lawyer involved, or he's at least asked for a lawyer, that does change the manner in which the investigation proceeds as far as questioning and interrogation. Fortunately, he was cooperating to the degree that he told them to something about the booby trap, so they didn't just go in there and search it. A lot of lives could have been lost, not only law enforcement, the people that live around him. They're going to be looking for a motive. Everyone's asking why, whether this tied to some hallucination or fantasy he had about that movie, whether there's some larger ideology. I thought maybe they'd find some sort of manifesto in there, some sort of paperwork saying why he did this, but everybody's asking why. This is one of those situations where it brought out the worst in him, but it seems to be bringing out the best in others. Oh, and you just have to pray for everybody out there.
Absolutely. And let's both take our hats off to everybody in law enforcement and this community. Aurora is a beautiful place to be and live, and they really have been there for each other after the unspeakable tragedy. If he did this alone, how much training would you need to have? How much knowledge would you need to have to build just the booby trap part of this?
Well, from what I'm hearing, it was fairly sophisticated. I don't know exactly what he did. It was obviously triggered to some degree to go off when somebody entered, or at least that's what we're hearing. I think it would take a lot. I think he has a scientific background, and he appears to be very deranged, but also very intelligent. It's not clear how he got the information. Again, that's why I think he could have had somebody help him learn how to do this, even somebody who didn't know what they were teaching him to do, just how the chemicals interact. But my guess is they're going to find books and internet search history that leads to how he learned about this. And hopefully he didn't, do it in a way that any other booby traps are left that they haven't found. I think they're pretty much done. This is a very, very dangerous situation for those law enforcement officers and the people that live around him.
One that it sounds like the suspect knew he was leaving behind. It's very nice to meet you. We really appreciate all the information you offered us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.